Hello, amazing measurement conversion fanatics. This is a little review from Unit 5, and I'm just going to pull a few items from the Unit 5 review to ponder over with you. And the first one happens to be item 4 on the review, and it asks you to explain how to find how many cups are in 8 quarts. So I might talk about how first I want to figure out if I look at my reference table, which is in the back of the book, or if I just Google a table of measures, I can find usually any information for metric or customary. I'm going to discover maybe what I find out is that there's not a specific quarts to cups thing there, but they will tell me that 1 quart is 2 pints. And then they might tell me that 1 pint is 2 cups. And this is useful information. I know in the scheme of things, quarts are made up of pints, and pints are made up of cups. With that in mind, I'm going to realize that for every quart I have 2 pints. So that means that for every quart I have, if I multiply it by 2, I can find the number of pints. And I notice if there are 2 cups for every pint, that means for every pint I have, there are 2 cups. So for that, I could take my pints and and multiply them by 2 to find cups. So if this is the case, if I have 8 quarts, I can go from quarts to pints by multiplying by 2. And then I can go, and I find, oh, well, that's 16 pints. Then I can go from pints to cups by, again, multiplying by 2, because there are 2 cups in every pint, which means that I can find that I have 38. No, I mean 32. Silly me. Silly me. It's going to be 32 cups. So 8 quarts will equal 32 cups. I don't have to memorize this stuff if I have a good reference tool like a table of measures, and those can be found everywhere, especially the interwebs. Next up on the hit parade is a straight up conversion. I have a certain number of liters and I need to figure out how many centiliters that is. Now, I can look on a reference table to find this out, or I can remember anytime I see centi, it means hundredth. And if I know that liter is the base measure for metric liquid volume, then centiliter is going to mean hundredth of a liter. Hundredth smaller than a 1 with a th, fraction. If that's the case, then I know for every liter I have 100 centiliters that make that up. Knowing that means I can take my liters and multiply them by 100 to find centiliters. The nice thing about our lovely metric base 10 system is 65 times 100 means 65 times 1 is 65 times 100, 6,500 centiliters. I should have left more room on that space. All is well. Okay, let's pop to customary liquid volume, or sometimes called capacity, right? We've got 9 gallons and we want to know how many pints. This goes a little bit back to what we were just talking about with customary liquid volume. We know in liquid volume, in customary, we have gallons. Gallons are made up of quarts. Quarts are made up of pints. And then, of course, we could go into cups and ounces and such. But we're good here because we don't have to go any further. If I have a reference table, I can look this up. And what I'll find is every gallon has 4 quarts in it. So that means if I multiply my gallons by 4, I can find out the number of quarts in them. And every quart has 2 pints. So that means I can take however many quarts I have and multiply that by 2 and get the number of pints. So here, there are a couple of ways I can do this. If I know, hey, I've got 9 gallons, I can then multiply that by 4, and then multiply the result by 2. So 9 times 4 is 36, and 36 times 2. Or I can multiply it any way I want. Like I can do 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 times 9, which is 72. And this time, I'm going to be able to fit that in there. It pretty much goes that way. Again, if you've got the reference table, you're good. If you don't, you have to memorize this stuff. My advice, use a reference table. It's silly to memorize all of these things. Sorry if your teacher says different. That's just me. Personal opinion there. One more. Let's look at time. Here we have 8 years and we want to know the equivalent months. I might have to look at a reference table, but I think for most of us we know that 1 year is equivalent to 12 months. If there are 12 months in a year, that means that I can take years and say 8 groups of 12. In this case, however many years times 12. 8 times 12, you either have it memorized or you don't. If you don't, it's pretty quick. And there you go. 96 months. Wow, that makes it sound like a lot longer, but it is in fact exactly the same amount of time, right? That's what equivalence means. All right, so that's part 1. Part 2, we'll do a little bit of perimeter area and problem solving.